Before we start this video, a large thank you to Francisco and Caden for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. A special and massive thank you to Halo Burner for their continued support of the channel this month on Patreon. It is greatly appreciated, my friend, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hello everybody, just before we start real quick, this is Nephilim, and this is my upgrade menu. So I just want to show you really quickly some things we can kind of take over to ours. So you can see here I have an icon that highlights my hover over it, and as I select my weapon, it changes the selected equipment text right here. And before this is blinking, it changes my materials cost, what I have and what I need, and then there's a confirmation button down here. We're going to do it a little bit differently because ours will more resemble Elden Ring, but you get the idea. There's some feedback. It shows you the current weapon, and then the next time you upgrade it, what it will go to. All good UI things to implement, and there are some sound effects. Not sure if I recorded sound in this clip, you might be able to hear it. And there's also a visual cue when you upgrade it, and when you fully upgrade it, it changes its text and stops you from upgrading it further. So we're going to incorporate some of these things. Let's jump over into the project right now. Let's go to our attempt to upgrade weapon function, and we're just going to jump over to the player UI manager because we have a few calls that require sound effects. Now, you can make a player UI sound effect manager if you so desire, but since the player UI manager is kind of like where I'm going to put the audio source as well, and it handles all the main UI functions, I'm just going to put it here just for the sake of it feeling all right. But if it feels weird, you make a player UI sound effect manager. So let's go to the world sound effect manager and let's make 3 sound effects because we're going to use these likely throughout the weapon upgrade system. So there was one for basically unable to continue, one for hover, and one for confirm. And these are all pretty like generic sound effect cues for UI in video games. If you're unable to press something, you'll get a sound effect usually. If you confirm something, you'll get a sound effect. And if you hover over, so when you've selected a new button or you mouse over something, a lot of times too, you also get a sound effect. So if you want to implement those, just add a variable for each, and then wherever you see fit to want to drop it in. This does fall more under polish, but for the sake of a UI, it does make it feel complete. So we'll include a basic form of it right now without kind of over embellishing it. You can always come back to this stuff too and obviously layer it on, but I want to get the actual systems working before I worry about stuff like that. So in the player UI manager, let's add a private audio source and let's get that on awake. And don't forget to add an audio source component to your player UI manager. Don't make it 3D because you want this sound effect to just play as it is, not based on where you are in a scene. So let's, the setting for that is called spatial blending, I believe. Let's just call audio source play one shot world sound effect manager, and then we're gonna play instance dot unable to continue sound effect. All right, and then just do the same thing here. I'm gonna duplicate this function for 2 more, so we can do for continue or confirm, and then we can do it as well for hover. So if you don't want to, or rather if you think you won't always have a sound effect for now, you still want to fill in the logic. If you don't have one, just do a null check, and if it's not there, just simply return. So if I were to, for example, try to play the unable to continue sound effect, I can just check the world sound effect manager to see if that sound effect is there. If it's null, simply return. You can add in the sound effect later on. So I'm going to do play hover sound effect now and reference the hover sound effect. And then just as I said as well, I'm going to go over all of these and just do a null check because I'm not going to implement the sound effect audio file right at this very second. I'll come back to this later. All right, looks good. If it's null, return. Copy and paste this. Change the previous sound effect to the current one, this one being confirm, and then copy and paste it again and change the sound effect to the last one, which is hover. Okay. Now let's save that and go back over to the upgrade weapon manager. And now under our pseudocode, we can call player UI manager.instance.play unable to continue sound effect. Save that. Now let's go back to the project. Let's go over to the button. I want to show you something. So if you're going to weapon upgrade manager and go to the right hand weapon button, you can see we're calling select equipment slot whenever we hover over this or have it selected with our controller. So this is calling this function. So this will be a good place to determine whether or not you have the cost, because when you hover over a button, you want to change the text field color of the materials cost and what you have. And if you don't have enough, you want to change it to red. And if you do have enough, you keep it the same. So this will be a great place to do that. So let's go ahead and make a private bool player has upgrade cost. Now we have no way of knowing this right now because we have no materials or no way to calculate or determine the cost based on the weapon. So for now, just return as false. but we can still write the logic as if we already had this done, but we will get to that in a moment. So we're going to say if the player has the upgrade cost, then we're going to change the text color to white, or if you want a specific color, go for it. And if not, I'm going to change it to red. I'm just using white and red because they're very simple. You can say color.white, color.red. I'm not saving any custom variable here, but do whatever you want to do for your game, obviously. I'm just trying to do this on the path of least resistance to get the functionality working. So come over here in the menu and basically just turn it on. You can see here that's our materials, that's our cost and our current. So let's make a text mesh pro variable for 2 of these. So I'm going to make a header. I'm going to call this text fields, and then I'm going to make a text mesh pro variable here for both. And we can call one current materials text, and then we can call one cost or materials cost text, whatever you want to call it. But basically this is just going to be those 2 text fields we just pointed out, and we can change the color of them and obviously the text themselves when the cost changes, depending on what we have or what we need. So we're going to say current materials text.color is equal to color.white if we have it. And this is different than Eflem. I'm kind of writing this off the cuff, so I may be making some modifications as I write this in a better way pops in my head. I have an idea of where I'm going to go, obviously, but this is one thing I can't reference directly from Nephilim because it's not going to be the same at all. I want to make it relate more to Elden Ring and not to Nephilim. So you can see here we have these button icons. This is just what we're going to change. We want to change the alpha of those 2. So we have right weapon 1, 2, 3, left weapon 1, 2, 3. You can see we grab them right here, and we're setting the icon as enabled and the sprites, whatever. Well, if we don't have the upgrade cost and we hover over this, it would be cool also to change the alpha of that image. So we're going to do that. We're going to make it more faded out if we don't have the cost. So I'm going to copy what I just wrote down, and I'm going to make a bool for has cost. I'm going to save this from this, and I'm just moving up here because I'm going to make it a little bit neater looking, and we're going to make it flow a bit nicer. So just bear with me for a second. So then we're just going to do if the has cost instead of doing if the player's upgrade cost, because we're going to add a couple things to this as well. We're going to basically keep track of the current selected item icon, and then we're going to change its color depending on if we have this or not. So if we do have the cost, do the same things before, materials is equal to white, otherwise the text is red. I'm just going to delete this, basically put it up here. Now, open up some brackets here. What we want to do is keep a local image variable, right? And every time we have one of these weapons selected, we want to assign that local image variable to this weapons slot. So obviously right-hand weapon slot 1, you get image slot 01, 2, 02, etc. So let's make a local image current selected equipment slot, or icon rather, and just say null for now. And now right under if our selected equipment slot is right weapon slot 01, just do this and then say current selected equipment slot equals blah. Alternatively too, you could do a switch statement here if you don't like these if statements, because we're just basically checking if it's 1, 2, 3 and then left or right. If that doesn't jive with you, just do a switch statement instead. I personally don't mind. Some people dislike that. I just like nested if statements. So magic of editing, I fast forwarded here. Let's save that now. And what we want to do too is make sure that we're actually resetting our image alpha to 1 after we leave, but we'll get to that in a moment. So bringing the cost in here and pasting it, moving around again, sorry. If we have the cost, the text equal to white, sure. Then we're going to change the current selected equipment slot's color. So in order to do that, first we have to get a copy of the original color, and then we're going to store that as a variable. And we want to change the alpha of that color and then assign the image slot icon the color again. I know that seems really weirdly roundabout, but that's how you have to do it in Unity. You get a color variable and you make it a value depending on the color you want to modify. Then you change your variable, and then you reassign your icon that new changed variable. So to do that, let's say current selected equipment slot.color is equal to, and now let's make a color to assign it. So I'm going to make a color variable, and we need to get the original color by saying color variable type color, we'll call it icon color, is equal to current selected equipment slot icon.color. Cool, easy enough. And now if we have the cost, we say icon color.alpha is equal to 1. And if we don't have the cost, we're going to give it a faded. And we want to assign the current selected equipment icon to the color. So if we don't have the cost, I'll make it 0.2f. And again, if you like magic numbers and they're bad, you should give this a variable. You can call it image icon fade amount or something of that nature. So I am going to remove the current selected equipment icon color and put it down here instead of repeating it twice, because I don't need to repeat it twice. There we go. And now we have to reset this when we come back. Otherwise, if you hover over a material that you don't have or a weapon that you don't have the materials for, and it fades out and then you close the menu, if you come back, it won't be faded back in. So to reset that, up at the top, select current equipment slot, make a color, icon color equal current selected equipment slot dot color, and then you could say icon color to alpha is equal to 1, and then you assign this color to every icon. And if you want to decouple this and give it its own function, something like set image or equipment icon colors, you can do that. I'm going to keep it in here though, because this function isn't looking too crowded for me just yet. This seems fine. Okay, so I'm going to make some comments here so it's clear what's happening. So if I glance back at this 4 months from now, I can quickly see what's happening. Set current selected icon color depending on if it has cost. Cool, save. Okay, let's scroll back up. And now, under if a fail material check, play a sound effect, copy and paste the sound effect above, but instead of checking for the weapon ID, check to see if the player has the cost. So if the player does not have the cost, play unable to continue sound effect and simply return. And you can do the same thing here for the max level check, except instead of checking whatever we're checking before, we can just compare the weapon upgrade level, and we can say if the current selected upgrade weapon upgrade level is 10, then we can't upgrade it further. Play this sound effect, and optionally here's where you change the text, like weapon is fully upgraded, you can do the alpha out, all that stuff, but we'll get to that after. That's a bit of layered polish. Let's just make sure calculating the materials cost works first, and then subtracting the materials from your inventory, etc. We'll come back to all this stuff later. I'll just put these comments here. Let's save that. Now, go over to your project, drag in the variables for your materials. So mine's going to be current cost, it's going to be cost materials, and current materials is going to be current materials text. It's always a good idea to name your variables exactly or really close to the text field. So if something if terrible ever happens and they become unhooked in the inspector, you can quickly search them. I've only ever had that happen to me one time, but that was enough of a time to learn that lesson. So let's go to our scripts and make a new folder called materials. And now there's several ways you can do this, well, probably dozens honestly, but you could make a different item for each material. So when I say for each material, I mean small, medium, and large, right? Because there's different upgrade chunks you can get in games like Elden Ring. I'll explain why at the end of the video. I won't get into that right now, but there's a reason they do that in video games, and it's a very good reason. So you could make small upgrade material, medium upgrade material, large upgrade material, or you can make one upgrade material script, and you can give it an enum, and you can set that upgrade material type through that enum, which is, both are absolutely valid, whichever you prefer. In my own game, I made, I believe it was an item for each upgrade material first, but then I just switched to using an enum. So we're going to do that over here because that's what I've done more recently. So go to the base class item. Make this derived from item first. So delete start and update functionality, make it derived from item. And then let's go over to item. Now, right now, we don't actually have stackable items in our game except for the projectiles, I believe, because we haven't implemented that, haven't had a reason to, but we're going to do that right now. And we're going to have to come back and change the projectiles a little bit in the future because of this, but it's no big deal. So make a public int max item amounts and public int current item amounts and initialize both at 1. If it's 1, we're going to treat it as if this item is not stackable, and this won't ever have to be used or modified. But if the max item amount is more than 1, then this item will be declared as stackable in the future way we're going to orient our inventory. And based on that, we can basically do some things with UI elements like display an amount. And when we remove items from our inventory, we can remove from the stack before taking the item as a whole. But again, this isn't important right now. Don't worry about it. We can circle back to this later. We just need the actual item for the upgrade cost. Now, go to your enums, and I'm going to put mine under the upgrade level. I'm going to specify an upgrade material. I'll call it upgrade stone because we can have different upgrade stones for different items. So I got small, medium, and large. Very cool. All right. And now under our upgrade material, I'll just make this upgrade stone. And now, if you're a fan of Elden Ring or Dark Souls, you might have remembered that there's also I think the 4th tier, it's like a slab. You can upgrade that or make that if you want to. I think there's shard, large shard, chunk, and slab. Maybe I'm missing one in Dark Souls 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but we're going to use this multiple tiered system and kind of recreate this. And again, at the end of the video, I will discuss why video games do that. So I'm going to yoink this create asset menu from my melee weapon, and we're going to rename it to items/upgrade materials, or rather materials, because I guess we only have one upgrade material right now. It's just called upgrade material. And there we go. So I have to make this now. We're going to make 3 of these, and we're going to assign each one a different upgrade stone enum category. And then we have to add it to our world item database, because every time we create a new classification of item, we have to add it there, and we have to add the new items to our database. So create folder in data items, call this materials. What? How much time am I at right now? Okay. And right click, we're going to go to items, materials, upgrade material, and then we can duplicate this 3 times. So I'm going to call the first one small upgrade stone. I know it's a very creative name, not at all a programmer name, not at all just me trying to get any name down to make this more convenient. I'll call it upgrade stone bracket 1, and then I'm going to make medium bracket 2 and large bracket 3. Just to, again, this is all programmer name, programmer UI. I just want to get the logic working. I leave it to you, the viewer, to obviously make your game pretty and appealing. I'm just showing you how to get the logic down. I definitely am not a UI master. I think my UI in Nephilim is passable. Actually, I quite enjoy it, but there are many better other resources on YouTube you can find for UI design. Okay, so we have small, medium, and large. Very cool. I'm not going to give those icons right now because, again, that doesn't matter. We're just going to get this set up so we can hopefully get this into a formula that will calculate cost for us. All right, go to your world item database just before we forget to do this, because you need to add these to a list so they become valid items in your game. Let's make a new list of upgrade materials, or rather just materials, whichever you want to call it, and then copy any of the other lists here. And what you want to do is change this to upgrade material, change this to upgrade material, and change the list name to upgrade materials. And then go on awake, do the same thing we did here, iterate through your list and add it to your master list of items. There we go, very good. And then create a getter function for searching an item by an ID in case you want to. So we could say public upgrade material, and then we could say get upgrade material by ID, and then just reference the new list, and you're good to go. And then we can go back to our logic and our upgrade manager, and we can kind of create a very simplistic way to get a cost for now that we can modify later if we're not content with it. So I'm going to save that now, and then we can go over to the project, Unity throw me random inspector bugs, drag in your materials to the upgrade materials list here, and then let's go back into our Visual Studio. Let's go over to the Player UI Weapon Upgrade Manager, and now we can make a function to calculate the cost. So again, there are several ways to do this. You could just check the item by its item ID in the player's inventory. So for example, if you want a medium stone, you need to check the player's inventory for an item ID that matches the medium stone, and then check for a count that matches the upgrade count that you need. But we're going to do a little bit differently too. We're going to basically generate an upgrade cost, and then depending on the weapon upgrade level, we're going to give it a cost type of small, medium, or large, and then we're going to give it an amount. So make a variable here for upgrade material called upgrade cost. And for now, we can make it null, but we're going to make it just as a new material. But just one sec. Let's get some more logic here first. Let's do a switch statement. Let's switch the weapon dot upgrade level. Whoops, not slash, dot upgrade level. Okay, so now we have conveniently laid out for us 0 to 10. So now we can manually insert the cost for each of these. And if you want to make some formula for it, that's okay too. But the reason why we're doing this way is because at each kind of like different bracket, like we'll say 3, 6, and 9, or wherever you want it to be, honestly, we're changing the upgrade material type. So here we go. Upgrade cost is equal to new upgrade material. Cool. Now, if your weapon level is 0, the upgrade cost, upgrade stone type is going to be small, and the amount required is going to be 1. And again, I'm just firing random numbers off the top of my head here. You can set this to whatever you want. I'm not matching a game. I'm just kind of firing something out to get it pen to paper, so to speak here. So let's change the max item amount at least to 99 also, because these are going to be stackable. All right, now if your upgrade level is 1, we're going to say the stone is still small, but we're going to say 2. And if your upgrade level is 2, the stone type one more time will be small, and then the cost will be 4, right? Now 3, we can change the stone to medium, And again, I'm not doing this for any particular reason. I'm just creating different brackets. And actually, while I have some time now, I'm doing this, I can tell you why games use different brackets like that, at least why I think they do. Let's say you have a guy who likes going around and killing a bunch of monsters in the first area 8 billion times before moving on, right? And let's say some of those monsters drop upgrade stones. Well, if there was no bracketed system, he could upgrade his weapons to max before ever leaving the first area. But because these games gate weapon upgrades to different tiers, you can only get certain tiers of these stones in different areas. So for example, areas 1 and 2 might give you the small stones, while areas 3 and 4 will give you the medium stones. So because of this, there's no real way with this system to fully leave an area, ridiculously overpowered, because the stones are kind of gate kept behind certain areas, which you need to get to first. This, in my mind at least, is why I think games do this. I don't know for certain, obviously, but that's what makes the most sense to me and what seems the most intuitive. So 10 usually uses some kind of crazy material, like a slab or something that's really hard to get, but you can make that if you want. But the system won't change either way. It'll be exactly the same. So if you want to make another different material for like some, hard to get item that's different from all the rest, go for it. Okay, so that actually will be all we have time for right now. So in the next episode, we're going to hopefully basically take this cost and we're going to search the player's inventory for it. And if they have it, we're going to subtract it. And then we're going to upgrade the weapon. And then we'll work on adding, sound effects and UI polish. And that is basically all the system. We can go in and kind of layer on different logic and things to make it feel nicer. But as always, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a very lovely weekend. I hope you learned something. I hope this video was helpful. And as always, an immense thank you to the people who take the time to like, comment, and share these videos. The series is genuinely live because of all of you. And a special thank you to my patrons. It is because of you the series can continue at all. You have my sincerest gratitude. Thank you, gentlemen. I will see you all next week.